Good afternoon, everyone. It's Deb Slutmone with Implementation Specialists. We're talking today about our Dispatch Center product. It works very well with Key2Act's job cost and service, but I wanted to walk you through some of the pieces of our Dispatch Center and what makes it up and what you can do with it. So if you take a look at my screen now, you can see all the pieces of our dispatch. So I'm just starting away at the top with customer, scheduler, contract, machine, and of course, way over is prospect. And depending upon where you're at in the module, your reports will work. Depending upon if you're in the scheduler, pulling up the invoice, the work order, the call summary, all those kinds of fun things that you need when you're running a busy dispatch. So let's go ahead and let's jump right in. So if you take a look, I've got a big screen in front of me, but let's go ahead first and get logged in. And I'm logging in, if you notice, to my test company. So you can log in between companies if you do have multiple companies, and you can control who has which logins. So here, now I'm looking at, again, clean slate of information. So I'm going to go ahead and look for a customer, and I can use any of our search parameters here. So of course I have Bob Smiley on my phone, my favorite customer, Bob. So I'll go ahead and I'll look up the different Bobs that we have set up in our system. And you can see here I found Bob or Mindy, and I can go ahead and pull up more information about Bob and Mindy. And depending upon how you like your screen, you can shorten areas, bring up contacts, make areas wider. Notice here that Bob and Mindy, of course, are in good standing. So any of the stoplight items, as far as delays, payment issues, you're going to see that here at the top of your information bar. Our contacts with all of our phone numbers are listed here. And then any open calls for them are going to be here at the bottom, along with any invoices or equipment that are assigned to that location. I'm kind of surprised because Bob doesn't have any open calls on his Van Norman property, but it looks like his other location does have an open call here with some information on it. All of these have additional drop downs. And again, you can slide and have your screen set up the way you like it. Nice part about this is as I'm looking, I'm going to go ahead and clear again. And as I'm looking for information, remember Mindy was kind of in the middle. She wasn't at the front with the starts with, but I know Mindy is on my phone. And if you notice here, I can pull in Mindy right from here and be able to look at information on that account from this level as well, okay? As I double click on that location, now I'm seeing customer info, email information. Oh, it looks like I better grab Mindy's email. Any notes specific to them. And if you notice here, this is that customer note section, but keep in mind there's a lot of areas that we are combining the notes so you're able to see more information on notes and the location notes, or of course any attachments that we want to add in here. Now remember, we're working seamlessly with Key2Act in the back office. So if I add something in the back office, I am going to see it here in dispatch. However, I don't need to be a back office user or have GP loaded here on my local instance. I can go ahead and work separately from GP. So let's go ahead and let's create some calls. So it looks like Van Norman doesn't have any calls. So let's create a new service call. And if you notice, I have options here to add technician activities, check out machinery, or even create a fixed quote for Mindy if she's really wanting to have a firm bid on a work order that she wants done. So I have lots of options from here. I'm going to go ahead and start with my service call. Now, if you take a look at my screen, you can see I've got my scheduled calendar back behind me. I'm working on Mindy's for Lake Park Golf, and you can see that here listed at the top portion of my screen. I can't have multiple calls up at one time as well. So if I'm working on Mindy, but I have an emergency furnace outage, I can go ahead and start a new call just as quick without having to put Mindy completely away. At the same time here, if you notice, it's a nice, easy view to add a call, a nice, easy window. So I'm going to start with my description. And of course, Mindy, she needs a furnace update. And I can add in additional description here, just like you can back in main product. I can add in a problem type, which I'm going to say she wants a furnace update. So I can say no cooling is probably not the best one there, maybe no heating. And then call type here, I'm going to put this one into not an emergency, but let's do a quick equipment check-in, okay? If you notice, my technician here is Kathy, and in the background, they have brought me right into Kathy Taylor, into her schedule. So as I know that Mindy typically likes to work with Kathy on her equipment needs, I can see Kathy has a very light day today, and I could probably keep that right on Kathy's schedule. I think this one probably could take a couple hours, so I can even increase the time here and bring that up for additional time if I want. Okay. At the same time, I'm going to leave this call status open. If there was a contract or additional equipment that I wanted to add in, I could do that as well and assign it from here. Okay. If you notice, my priority is showing here as well. I'm going to bump this to a priority of 2, and I'm going to go ahead and save this call. Okay. Now what you're going to see is that call has now been scheduled for 9 o'clock this morning, and a little bit behind, but I can go ahead and I can do a couple more things before I move it around. So I notice here that I have my email technician button, and since the time is really close, I'm going to go ahead and email that over to Kathy. Oh, I say I need to set up Kathy's email, so sorry about that, guys. I should have set this one up for Alan, because Alan, I have his email in, my fault. I can also email the customer from here and let Mindy know that the technician's been scheduled and she should see her at 9 a.m. So some nice things here, right as my dispatchers are working. The other big thing, guys, I will tell you, Mindy is very cautious when it comes to spending. And so me and Mindy have already decided that it probably will be a few hours for labor. So I'm going to go ahead and just put in $350 for labor. And at the same time, we're not anticipating probably a ton of equipment or materials, but I've told Mindy we'll try to hold it to $1,000. Okay. So if you notice here, I'm actually creating a fixed quote for this service call at the same time. I also have the ability from here to import directly from Excel. So if you like a template and want to do an import, you have that ability from here direct into this window, or importing from CSV as well if you have a CSV option or a text-based option. If I needed to really update the billing record as far as the price quote, I can bring that into and read in those prices and assign to a salesperson. Okay, and now it's actually made that into a fixed quote on the on the service ticket. The nice part about that is when Mindy goes to get her billing, she's going to have exactly what we talked about, which is at $1,350. At the same time, I can see that appointment. I can see any notes on the call. I can see if we've invoiced it yet, which of course we haven't. And I haven't assigned any machinery yet because I'm not anticipating any additional equipment needs at this point. Okay, so I'm going to go back to my service call here, and I'm going to save that one. Okay, now remember I promised you that I put this in at 9 a.m. kind of for a reason, so you could see that I'm going to need to move that. And when I need to move that, I can just go ahead and slide that around. So I'm hoping that Kathy will be able to be at Mindy's at 2 o'clock. But I'm kind of thinking it's probably going to take a little bit more time. So if you can see, it was nice and easy for me to put that in to Kathy's schedule for this afternoon. And at the same time, remember, if I want to update Kathy with that time, I can go ahead and email the technician again using my email tech button here, and of course email customer. We try to do this making it all nice and easy uh, for uh, for all aspects when the dispatcher is working with the customer to get those pieces out as quick as possible. Okay, so I'm just going to update this one again, and I'm going to go ahead and jump back to my service call here, and you can see I can update just basically by double clicking. I'm getting into all the areas I need to. Now, some of my favorites from here, because you know how things go, don't always necessarily work, but I might have to do half of this call today, and then the other half I might have to do on another day, or I might need a helper with the installation. And now what I've just done is I've just scheduled 2 appointments, one for Ann and one for Kathy, on that same service call by just using my split tool here at the top. At the same time, I might want to spawn a new call and add in an additional call that goes to Kathy saying, remember, we may also have to look at her HVAC in general because she has a few more items that we need to review. So I'm going to go ahead and just add in another call type here. I'm adding it in for an installation. And again, I'm doing it just as an inspection, and I'm saving that call. Okay, and you can see I can easily just keep creating calls. As the customer is saying, I need this or I need this, I can be adding those in without having to do a ton of additions, moving windows. I'm adding them here really quickly. Now, we started this, guys, remember, back from our customer card, looking at the overall customer, adding in a service call, adding in the fixed quote, either from the call, or I could add in a fixed quote here. If Mindy called in and just said, hey, I want to know about a furnace potential, what I'm looking at, I could put in some notes here for my sales team. But really the best part, what I think on the sales team, is using our prospecting module. So remember at the top, I started us with customer and scheduling, okay, and just showing us a brief overview of both of those. But now I'm over here into prospect, and prospect is one of my favorites because I know there is so much that falls through the cracks. So what we can do is we can either create our own prospect, we can import a prospect. So if you notice here, I already imported Mindy. So I have Mindy right here, but I could use my import and bring another customer in that's a current customer, or I could continue to add opportunities for Mindy here. And you look, Mindy's got a ton of opportunities that I'm already tracking for her. There's that install furnace. She looks like she's talking about an air conditioning, a water heater. Wow, there's that heat pump that we were just scheduling for as well. I didn't realize I had it in prospect. So you can see I can create additional prospects and create opportunities. Now, definitely, this is not meant to be an entire full-blown CRM system, but what we wanted to do was have a great place for you to capture information. And if you notice here, I can go ahead and create another opportunity for Mindy. I'm just going to do that new furnace again. Sorry, guys, I'm kind of doing new furnace number 2. And her time frame is, of course, this month because it's cold this month, okay? So we'll go ahead and do this quarter. An estimated close, we're going to put it down for that 12:30 and a new furnace. We'll say okay there. And at the same time, now you can see there's my new furnace. If I double click, I'm going to be able to add in more information here. Okay. At the same time, I can add a task list for that new furnace. So I know I'm going to have to add in for that one specifically. I'm going to have to add in some additional, I need to have an inspection, all those things that I need, estimate, all those things I need, and I want to make sure that I'm getting done and completing. Okay. Now my favorite part is my quote part here, because quotes are always the things you have to try to track down our sales team. make sure that, hey, did we understand exactly what you had quoted? Where's that scrap of paper, that napkin that you did that with the homeowner on over coffee, all those things. And if you notice here, I can go ahead and I am Gary today, just so you guys know, and I can lock these down based on the salespeople. So only certain salespeople can see their certain items. And I'm going to say this is my retail customer here, and do furnace. And again, here I'm going to say I was $500 for the labor for the installation, materials for a new furnace, 5,000. I'm actually tracking all of that here, and I can go ahead and update it for that new furnace, that quote number 22, which we just created. Now, the best part about it is I have a cost estimate here as well, and I didn't put all of my numbers in. Make sure I'm on my right one here. And some reason, I think I might have done that without saving it. So we're just gonna update it again. Maybe my retail one has, somebody's been playing with it, guys, the way it looks, because I'm gonna update that again. There we go. Yeah, definitely that's a very cheap furnace. So forgive my math, but just for time's sake, as I know we're getting close, and I've got a few other pieces I really wanna show you. There's my quote coming in. I can use my transfer right here. And when I'm transferring that, it's going to go ahead and it's going to create that back in Key2Act in service. And the nice part about it is it's going to let me make that into a call, and it creates a quoted call all the way around it. And now that prospect, that opportunity with the tasks associated with it are all transferred back into Key2Act service for a technician, a CSM, CRM to be able to, CSM to be able to move that forward from their CRM system. So guys, that's a little bit on prospect. Couple other modules. I'm just going to breeze through because I know we're running really short on time. We also have a machine scheduling where you create your own machines, your own equipment here, completely separate. But you have the ability to schedule them and also bill them. So as you need equipment on calls, you can schedule that equipment. If it stays at the site for weeks on end, perfect. It can stay there for weeks on end. It is separate from your technicians. It's not going to bog down anyone else's schedule, but you're going to be able to see that equipment that's assigned to that location. And the great part about it is you're going to be able to bill that equipment back to those calls right from here on dispatch, a piece that I know a ton of you really want and need to be able to make sure that you're not missing the equipment scheduling. Okay, so if you haven't seen our machine schedule and billing, let us know. We're definitely happy to do more on that module. But the other one I want to just give you a couple more minutes on is our another new one, which is our contract module. Our contract module, if you notice, I can go ahead and I can put in, I'm just going to go ahead and put in a few months here. And again, I'm going to take us into 19 because I got to think of where I'm at here on my schedule. Okay, and I'm going to tell it to get contracts. So probably the biggest thing that I hear from people as they're doing contracts for customers is trying to keep up on the renewals and what's coming at them, and how do I get that information to my CSMs or my salespeople. And if you notice from here, I now just looked out over the next year who is coming due and who has contracts that we need to really be working on. And here I can see, here's one of my customers, here's Accurate Printing with another customer, and Lake Park Golf. You can see all of the information coming up, but wow, I have only contacted one on my list coming up. So I probably need to do some additional work. So as you notice, this is more of your dashboard to being able to see what this customer had used over the time period, what the overall revenue and costs were, and what we billed to date. So if you notice, here's our contract revenue, some additional billings, and estimated costs and actual costs. And we have this piece, this view is actually for each of our contracts, and just kind of gives you a look at, here we haven't billed any revenue on this contract, but it looks like we've got a lot of costs. So I probably have to look at that and see what's going on with our contracts. And forgive my bad sample data here, guys. But as I double click and walk into that contract, I'm seeing all the specifics of the contract. I'm seeing any notes related to that contract and any attachments. So if you're doing some estimating on your contract renewals, in an Excel doc or another format, you can bring those documents in right here and attach as well. So guys, the customer contacted right here is just a checkbox on this window, and it will update back to the card once I say the renewal's been updated. The other thing, which is my favorite, is if you notice up at the top, as I'm looking at being selected on this one right here, I have an email reminder that's going to go ahead and kick off an email back to that customer, which we're going to be able to approve and update, of course, before sending, but it's going to give that customer those specifics that's coming up. And oh, so sorry guys, I got to touch this one up a little bit because my customer doesn't have a good contact in. But if you can see, it just does a lot of that heavy lifting for that end, whether it's your CSMs, your sales teams, and from here you can go ahead, and I didn't fill a renewal amount in on that one. If I would have, it would have been in as well. You can see you can add in more. You can, just continue to enhance that email right from here. So guys, I know we're running right up onto our time here. So if you notice up at the top, we talked again a little bit about our customer. We only briefly went into our scheduler and all the possibilities on our scheduler. Definitely we could spend a half day on schedule. We did a quick preview on contracts, talked a minute on machine, and of course, did a little bit on our prospect module. So guys, this is our dispatch. Definitely check back with us for deeper dives, deeper demos, and hopefully we piqued some interest, and we're happy to take any questions. And guys, I know we're running right up on time here, so if you have any questions, put them into your chat box, into your chat window. We're happy to answer and get back to you as quick as we can. Thanks so much for joining us today on our quick walkthrough of Dispatch Center.